Is President Trump answering the prayers of Christians when it comes to school choice? That's today's Faith Check News. I'm Brian Tuttimore, and let's face it, the first 2 weeks of Trump 2.0 can best be described as shock and awe. But I also wonder if you've noticed the contrast between Barack Obama's presidency and the Trump presidency. So where Obama set out to fundamentally transform America, President Trump has set out to fundamentally transform Washington, D.C. And there's no greater illustration of this contrast than the Trump administration's 2 executive orders aimed at transforming American education by shifting power away from bureaucrats and school administrators to parents. So if you go to faithcheck.news, you'll kind of see here that I have an article set up. I wrote this article a couple days ago, finally getting around to do the podcast here. So if you want to kind of read the short of it, that's all there. But let me read through the first 2 executive orders for you. The first executive order is titled Ending Radical Indoctrination in K-12 Schooling. This order reinforces existing laws to uphold parental rights in education. It affirms parents' authority to decide what their children are taught and make critical medical decisions regarding their child's identity. It also bans the enforcement of concepts like white privilege and unconscious bias in schools, arguing that such ideologies violate civil rights laws and undermine parental authority. But if I could just take a moment and encourage you to like and subscribe if you're getting something of value from this video, that helps us keep doing what we're doing. So let me go back to the second executive order. The second executive order is titled Expanding Educational Freedom and Opportunity for Families. And this order promotes school choice, allowing parents to select the best educational environment for their children rather than being restricted by the public school system. Clearly, both orders seek to decentralize education, emphasizing parental control and curbing ideological influence in schools. It's a part of President Trump's revolution of common sense. And as the late Sir Ken Robinson argued, education doesn't take place in a committee room or legislative building. It happens in classrooms. The old school command and control approach to public education has suffocated learning. And you've probably heard this before. The United States spends more on education than any other industrialized nation. And yet we rank towards the bottom in terms of overall general education. It's time for a change. One of my favorite quotes about education and learning comes from Sir Ken Robinson. And he says this: if curiosity is the engine of achievement, the passion to discover, to understand cannot be taught. It must be awakened. And no one is better attuned to a child's potential than their teacher and parents. So why is school choice such a game-changing policy? Well, it goes to that ancient adage that he who controls the purse strings controls your child. You see, school choice simply hands the purse strings back to the parent. So rather than a faceless administrator deciding where your child gets to go to school, you, the parent, decide. And speaking of faceless administrators, just today I watched an interview with Randi Weingarten. She's the president of the American Federation of Teachers. Remember her, the COVID monitor? Yeah, she's the one who demanded that schools remain closed after COVID was essentially over, and we knew for a fact it does not pose a serious threat to a child's health. So, what was her main argument against school choice? Public school administrators, she said, should be making decisions about your child's education, not you, the parent. And she went on to plead with the new administration for, yeah, you guessed it, more money.
Show me the money.
But I'm not going to grant more oxygen to an extremely partisan racket that's responsible for the de-evolution of public education. It's time to end the trickle-down economics of public education. If we want the most equitable and fair school funding, school choice is the answer. Because with school choice, every child is afforded the same amount of public funds. And the parent determines where to educate their child, whether public or private, Christian or atheist, or Rastafarian. That's why the Trump administration's executive orders have the potential to revolutionize public education, transforming it from a trickle-down mechanical machine to a human system that puts the child first. Rather than a one-size-fits-all system of conformity, we should pursue an educational enterprise of possibility and curiosity. Which brings us back to the question, is Trump answering the prayers of Christians for school choice? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
I'm Brian Tuttimore. That's today's Faith Check News. And remember, think right to live free.